Welcome to myGSPN Sports Talk, episode number 2. Again, this is your host, Robert Brown. We've got a very exciting show, at least from my perspective. We've got some NBA Summer League going on. We've got some exciting players stepping up to talk about there. We've got some World Cup news to talk about, and we've got some GOAT news as well. So let's dive into the NBA Summer League, where this is the time for those rookies who just got drafted to start making a name for themselves, and some of them have actually begun. Players like, the dude from Orlando, Mo Bamba, or DeAndre Ayton. He's the one I wanted to start with. He just started his summer league out in Vegas. Marvin Bagley III started out in Sacramento playing a few games. Trae Young was in Utah, so we're really going to talk about the important summer league, which is that Vegas summer league. All 30 teams for the first year ever were out there and had representatives. It was a very exciting summer league so far, and, the playoffs have started, so it's only going to get more exciting. But to start with, let's talk about DeAndre Ayton, the Puma guy. He has signed a massive deal with Puma to kind of re-jumpstart their basketball brand. They've signed Marvin Bagley III as well, Michael Porter Jr., and Jay-Z is their head of basketball operations and creative director now. So, Puma's making a splash, and maybe in a few years you'll be talking about Puma the way you're talking about Under Armour now. Extremely exciting, growing and blowing up, and not just, basketball, but maybe they'll transfer over into football or soccer or something else. But DeAndre Ayton I can see why he's the number one pick. He is dominant. He is a man amongst boys, even out there on the summer league, where you have, grown men who's been out of college, graduated all 4 years or 5 years, and then have been playing professionally for 4 or 5 years. He's still dominating those guys. He is a 7-footer who has fantastic hands, fantastic footwork, and he is putting on an absolute show. He's worth the money from not only Puma, but the Phoenix Suns signing him. Suns have a roster right now that is extremely exciting. Devin Booker just signed the 7th largest contract in NBA history. He is, still the youngest player on his team, younger than DeAndre Ayton. He's a dominating shooting guard, and you don't see shooting guards that are dominant that often. You have like Kobe, D-Wade, Allen Iverson, guys that can lead the league in scoring, lead their team to playoffs, and, they are dominant. Usually that's a big man you talk about, like a Shaq or a Wilt or DeAndre Ayton. But, this really is Shaq and Kobe 2.0. Now, that 2.0 might not be a better version. You may still want the 1.0. I know, I'm a Kobe fan, and I don't see Devin Booker being as good as Kobe or DeAndre Ayton being as powerful and as dominant as Shaq. But for today's NBA, the way they can both shoot on the perimeter, they're both athletic and agile, I think they're going to be a great fit together, and Kobe 2.0 is going to be extremely exciting, not only for the Phoenix fans, but also for the rest of the NBA and any basketball fan. Now we talk about a former high school teammate of DeAndre Ayton, and that is Marvin Bagley III. He, to me, has the most upside out of all the bigs that have been in the draft, that came out in the draft this year. He's, 6'10", 6'11", crazy athletic, has a feathery touch and great form on his jump shot. And to me, that's the big thing. If your jump shot has proper form, your mechanics are good, it looks like you have a soft touch, you could teach someone how to shoot. There are guys whose jump shot is, their form honestly makes you think that they should go back to the drawing board or switch sports. But, they can still be productive NBA players without that, without a great jump shot. But Marvin Bagley, it looks like his jump shot has the capability to develop into, a very consistent mid-range, corner three-pointer like Chris Bosh. I actually think that may be a good comparison. He can be a better Chris Bosh. He's bigger, more athletic, and if he can get his jump shot on par with his, the sky really is the limit for him with his athletic abilities, his defensive upside, his length. He's putting on a summer league where it's just, up to on par with DeAndre Ayton as far as his productiveness and his dominance. It's a different kind of dominance. It's not just that low post, catching lobs, dominant down low type guy. He he more dominates you all across the floor. Rebound, coast to coast, and finishing, finding open teammates, playing a complete game. And that, to me, is why I thought he should be the number one player in the draft taken this year, just because of his versatility. And basketball is turning into a positionless sport. So a guy that can grab rebounds and push it the full length of the court, that you can play as your 5-man when you go small, or play as your 4 in a regular lineup, possibly even a 5 in a regular lineup at 6'11". His versatility knows no bounds and can help Sacramento tremendously. Luka Doncic, talk about him for a little bit. He just got his deal done. It was a $2 million buyout with Real Madrid, and he's also signed his rookie contract. Those numbers should be coming out, when the rest of the rookies do, but he's fantastic. If he had stepped on the court in Summer League, he didn't play. His team isn't moving on in the playoffs, so you kind of get ready to see him in preseason work. But when you do, this kid is a wonder to behold. They call him the Wonder Kid for a reason. He's accomplished everything anyone has ever can accomplish in Europe basketball. Also, he did it at a much younger age than anybody has ever done it. So clearly he is a phenom, not only in Europe, but hopefully we'll see in the NBA. And as I believe, he's the most complete player with the highest upside and the highest, floor. So even if he's not that superstar you think he'll be, I feel like he'll be the best guy that fails, if that makes sense. His downside is going to be a 12 to 14 point scorer, a 6 assist guy. And, for that to be a number 3 pick's downside, if that's, where his floor is, you can only imagine where his ceiling is going to be, an MVP caliber, a type of guy that can soak up knowledge from a Dirk Nowitzki and the rest of the guys down there on that team and really develop into a go-to, not only scorer, but, ball handler and playmaker for Dallas. Trae Young is the next guy I want to talk about. He's showing that he can be a giant bust, and I don't want anyone to be a bust, but I don't see him being that Steph Curry all-star that everyone talks about. I think his game will improve. He won't, shoot the 4 for 32 that he's shooting right now, or whatever it is from the 3 in his summer league games in Utah and out in Vegas. But he's a much better shooter than he's showing. I just don't think he's athletic enough or explosive enough to deal with the likes of Chris Paul or Westbrook, some of the top-level guards. Definitely don't think he can guard either of them. He definitely can't guard Kyrie, but Lord knows there's nobody in the league possibly that can guard Kyrie, so he's in a class all of his own. This kid is a great shooter, and even if he's not shooting the ball right now, Trae Young's jump shot will definitely develop. And not develop because we know he's a great shooter, but he'll get the feel for that NBA three-point line and the NBA speed, and he'll start making jump shots. It may not be on the level that he did in college where he's able to create his shot as consistently and, pulling up from 40, 45 feet, but he'll definitely be a good catch-and-shoot guy, coming off screens. If he's open, you can't go under them. He'll be able to knock things like that down. So, he'll be a consistent shooter in this league. I don't think he'll be that all-star everyone's projecting him to be. His ceiling is Steph Curry. His floor, I'm not quite sure where that is yet, but I don't think, it's too terrible because of the way he can shoot, but it definitely isn't going to be worthy of a number 5 pick. The last guy I want to talk about right now for Summer League is Michael Porter Jr. He's the 14th pick by the Denver Nuggets. He went to Missouri, got injured, only played a few games, but going into this year's draft, this freshman year of college, he was projected a top 3 pick. Now, he ends up going lottery, which is number 14. He's the last pick in the lottery. But he falls to a situation where there's other scorers, there's a few veterans. It's a team that could possibly make a playoff push, so he's not in a bad position. It's just that he's way too talented to be the 14th pick. Way too talented. I thought the same thing a few years back when Devin Booker, who I was mentioning earlier with DeAndre Ayton out in Phoenix, he fell to the 13th pick. And, he didn't play that much at Kentucky. Coming off the bench, they were stacked, but he was a walking bucket, a 40% plus 3-point shooter, and you could tell just from like his pre-draft workouts, he had superstar potential. And even if he didn't live up to that, which he is, youngest player to ever score 70 points, only players to score the amount of points that he scored faster are LeBron James and Kevin Durant. So he's in company with people that, you wish to be in company with. MVPs, All-Stars, All-Star MVPs, future Hall of Famers, NBA Final MVPs. So he's in a league with those guys, and if he continues on this upward trend, sky's the limit for Devin Booker. But Michael Porter Jr. is in a very similar position where, he fell in the draft where his talents shouldn't have been. He should not be a 14th pick. He is a top 5, top 3 pick without a doubt. He's a 6'10", 3-man, very athletic, very aggressive. He seems to have the complete game. He's a willing passer and a decent passer. He needs to work on the defensive end as a perimeter defender. Being so big, so young, he spent most of his time defending the block, but being able to utilize his full game around on the offensive end, now will be his opportunity to show that I can guard both positions, the 3 and the 4, but develop my perimeter game. Offensively, he seems to have it all as far as the score, the mid-range level. He's developing a consistent three-point shot, which, going from college to the NBA, that difference in the 2 feet and the three-point line is tremendous in your jump shot, and it makes it very difficult. So, he's developing that, and if he can get that at 6'10", what he can do on the perimeter, he's another, I don't want to go as far as Kevin Durant, but, he can be a Paul George type, that 6'9", 6'10", athletic wing that can fill the bucket up, just shoot, can get to the rim mid-range, has good moves, has post moves. So he is an elite scorer on all different levels, and he's being absolutely fantastic. As far as, his recovery and what he's been able to put in, and what Denver, the reports have been out, he's gone in, put his head down, and just grinded. Injuries haven't been a big thing. He hasn't played in Summer League, but that's more of a precaution from Denver than him actually being hurt. I know I said he was the last one, but Kevin Knox, I'm not quite sure where he got drafted. I believe it was 8th. I know he went to the New York Knicks, and Knicks fans were booing him, but it may be another Kristaps Porzingis situation where you boo him at first, but he comes out and puts on an absolute show. Michael Porter Jr. can score. This young man can score. All-time leading scorer in the state of Florida, high school-wise. Went to Kentucky. You go to Kentucky, you go to the league, basically. But he is a 6'9", 6'10", 220 scorer. He can play the 3. He can play the 4. He's more of a 4-man right now in the NBA, especially defensively, even offensively. He's able to do more things in Summer League just because of the talent difference that he has to some of the people he's playing against. But he can score the ball on all 3 levels. He can post you up. He knocks his free throws down. He's hitting threes. He's creating shots for himself off the dribble. He's getting to the rim. Finishing, he needs to improve on still, being able to use his offhand, being able to be a little more crafty around the rim. Even at 6'10", you've still got to be able to do some things. You see Kevin Durant at almost 7 foot. He drives to the basket with, DeAndre Jordans and some of these giants out there. You got to be able to have different finishes and your floaters, left hand, right hand. So his game will continue to develop. But right now, he is hands down the most complete scorer in this draft. Without seeing Luka Doncic on the floor and how his game will translate as a scorer from Europe to the NBA, my bet is on this kid to make a push for Rookie of the Year. I've got Doncic winning it, but this is a very deep draft, and they're showing you right now in Summer League how dominant they can be moving forward. Plenty of kids out here, and I say kids, they're 19, 20, and so on, but they're ready to make a push in this man's league. NBA, everyone says it stands for no boys allowed, so watch for these young men to come in and really make an impression early into their rookie years. Now, transitioning from basketball into the World Cup, where it's been a absolute, I don't even know exactly how to say it. It's been one of the best World Cups ever. And for someone who's really just getting into soccer, for this to be my first World Cup to experience, it's been absolutely phenomenal. And it's had me on the edge of my seats at all time. We have France advancing to go play in the finals. I did not pick France to win. I did pick Brazil, but France is loaded from top to bottom, from their goalie to their midfield defenders, all the way to Mbappe and that group of strikers that are in the front. They are a fantastic team, and now that they're in the championship, I'll jump on the bandwagon. At the beginning, I could tell that they had talent. That's obvious. Just looking on paper, they're a Final Four type team, an Elite Eight type team on paper. They're so young, the second youngest team in the tournament. It was just whether they were going to, have it click, were things going to go right for them as far as seeding, as far as who they were able to play in the rounds to come out of the group stage. And, this seems like France's year. We've got a very good game with England and Croatia that is coming on today at 2 p.m. Eastern. We'll definitely talk about that tomorrow on our live show that will be airing. So stay tuned and go in and look for that. But, this France team looks like it's their year. They won it back in '98, I do believe, with Zidane at the helm being their best player. And their coach right now was the captain of that World Cup winning side. So, they've got not only prestige being France, but they've got plenty of talent. They've got the coaching experience. This is their third World Cup final, so, hopefully they prevail again, being my pick. England versus Croatia today. England's made a fantastic run up until this point. I think they fall to Croatia. I'm picking Croatia because I'm a fan of Luka Modric that plays for Real Madrid, but, that's the only reason. Harry Kane for England is probably going to end up winning the Golden Boot. He does nothing but score, and I can see him scoring another goal this game to really put pressure on Croatia. But whether it goes down to penalties, where England, they usually don't succeed. They have in their last one, which was, a big meme of the internet recently. But I'm picking Croatia and then France to defeat Croatia in the championship. They're in the final. So the last thing we want to cover today, which is, arguably the biggest move in sports ever, maybe. LeBron was a huge move this summer, his decision part 3, but Cristiano Ronaldo has decided to top him by transferring from the dominance that is Real Madrid, the biggest football club in the world, one of the top 2 or 3 sporting clubs in the world right now. So he leaves them, the 3-time defending Champions League champion, to go to Juventus, which is a very dominant Italian side. Juventus, if you remember this Champions League semifinals, Ronaldo hit the most amazing bicycle kick I've ever seen. And even some of the commentators and soccer fans were talking about, the height on it, the form on it is picture perfect. The Juventus fans stand up and applaud him, and he's recorded saying how much that made him feel good and how much he liked that the opposing team stepped up. So a lot of people are thinking, was that the reason he left? We don't know. There's also been some speculation about the issues he was having with management at Real Madrid. I've heard things about his $100 million transfer fee was a slap in the face for him, with Neymar and Mbappe making over 200, or being valued at over 200 million pounds. So that was a little bit of slap of the face for a guy who does nothing but win awards and win championships for your side. But he goes to Juventus. Early preliminary reports that I'm hearing say he's going to make around $60 million a year, euros a year, which is absolutely ridiculous, putting to shame even some of these large $200 million basketball contracts that Steph Curry, Russell Westbrook, James Harden, that they're receiving. So, Ronaldo, he may be leaving Real Madrid, but he steps into a Juventus team who not only is probably going to win the Italian Series A championship, but now can compete. And, they've gotten to those Champions League finals, but now with Ronaldo, that can be that next step they need to become a Real Madrid and start winning, 2 and 3 Champions League championships in a row. But we thank you for tuning in. This again was myGSPN Sports Talk. Hopefully we'll hear from you soon. Another podcast will be coming tomorrow and a live show from myGSPN Live. So please tune in.